Hi there, welcome back to Lean and Define. This is Mozzie, NASM certified personal trainer. Welcome back. The thing I was thinking about today, and this is a topic that's been on my mind for a couple of years actually, like just the idea of it. But one thing that I noticed, like from my gym, is how traffic tends to decline in the fall slash winter period before January, I'd say. So like I'm thinking like it might start in October, but especially by like November and December, I really notice a big difference in foot traffic at the gym. Oftentimes I think about it, how it does pick up in January, but you really notice it pick up. I really notice that it picks up as soon as the weather starts to warm up. So that kind of makes me think about the process and how I think a lot of I think some of those people, one of the reasons why it picks up so much is because people tend to be reactive, and so they see the weather warm up and suddenly they're like, well, now I want to be at the gym. So I was thinking about that as a topic because I think that the better approach is, well, I would say the best approach is that you're in the gym year round, um, rather than taking a break if people take breaks. But I really think that if you're starting your fitness journey, if you're just trying to get in shape right now, or if you have these ups and downs throughout the year, I think this is the time to be in the gym. And there's a few really good reasons for that, in my opinion. One really good reason is people tend to gain weight this time of year. A lot of people gain weight through that October, November, December stretch. So if you're already working right now, or you start right now, you could potentially avoid the pitfall of actually gaining weight this time of year. And if anything, you may even be able to ideally lose weight this time of year. So that's one really good thing you can do. You can be doing cardio, even if you do maybe the cold weather like affects you and you in a way where you kind of feel like eating more or whatever it is. I do feel like that does tend to happen this time of year. You could potentially avoid that. You could potentially avoid that by just staying active, doing cardio, doing your weight training, whatever, as like a way to counteract that effect. The other thing is if you have substantial weight to lose, I would say think about think about the idea that they say healthy weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds a week, but more realistically for a lot of people, especially the way I recommend calorie deficits, I think you should think about it more like a half pound to a pound a week. That's more practical and doesn't require extreme calorie deficits. So, with that in mind, I would say you got to think about it that depending on what you're trying to lose, if you're trying to lose 5 pounds or 10 pounds or 15 or 20 pounds, think about how long it'll take for you to be in the kind of shape you'd like to be in by, let's say, March or April or May or June or July or whenever. Think about that and think about how long it would take for you to lose that. And that should put it into perspective that it's probably a good time to start now if you have more than 10 pounds to lose. Even if you don't reach that goal by the time the weather warms up, depending on where you are in the country, you'll probably look considerably better than you do right now. So that's one way to look at that. Another thing that I think people bump into that I think is a problem, um, in my opinion, is people end up a lot of people yo-yo throughout the year, so they'll gain body fat in the fall winter period, and then they'll try to lose it once the weather warms up. And I think that could put some people in a constant yo-yo situation where in a position they're either in a position where they're like where their weight is increasing and they're like indulging a lot, or they're in a situation where suddenly they're like, oh man, now I need to lose weight, I gotta put all this stuff aside, and now they're going through the difficulty of having to cut out all these things that they normally like to eat, and at the same time cut back on their diet considerably and put a lot of effort into losing that weight. And so my recommendation would be instead to instead I would say try to find like a a small weight range of no more than 5 to 10 pounds. So let's say you're like, I like being at between 155 and 165, or if you're a girl, maybe 120 to 130 works for you, or 110 to 120, or whatever the number is. Try to find a weight range that is within a 5 to 10 pound stretch. Try to find what that lowest uh, um, so let's say you're like 155 to 160. I say if you can stick to 5 pounds, that would be smaller. And that way, if you hit the higher end, it's not too hard to get back down towards the lower end. But I would say find a weight range within 5 to 10 pounds and try not to get out of that zone throughout the year. And that way, you're not in this crazy yo yo situation. Maybe you're in a much smaller range yo-yo situation where it's like going down but coming back up pretty quickly. So that's my recommendation, and I think that that makes fitness much easier for people because they're not in this constant state of flux. Also, it's not the best thing for the body to be constantly gaining and losing weight. And in the long run, if you want to look your best, you don't want to be in this position where your skin is constantly being stretched out and then coming back in like inflated, deflated, inflated, deflated. So if you're able to get that jump on the situation right now or by November, I think that that could put you in a really good position to be in shape by summer and to look good. Maybe even by spring, you could be looking pretty good, and you can use this time of the year when the gym is less busy and to take advantage of that situation. And I'd like you to think about what a good weight range for you would be before you start this process. Try to find one that you also think is practical, something that you think you can actually maintain realistically. Because the lower your weight is, typically the lower your maintenance calories are going to be, unless you're like increasing your activity levels. So you want to keep that in mind. Like, is this something that I can sustain? With that said, this is Mozzie, NASM certified personal trainer here at Lean and Define. Take care and stay active.